Hi, I'm Sarah from the upcoming. An absolute pleasure to chat to you. Thanks a lot for taking the time. I guess if people haven't seen it yet, maybe you can give us a brief introduction. What can they expect when they watch tape?
I don't think you should go into tape thinking of what to expect because I feel like everyone who sees this film will have a different feeling after will have a different take on watching this film. So, for example, like I'm not sure if you have you seen the original tape before
I
or
actually
have you
haven't, but yes, I've read about it.
Oh, yeah. There's basically it's like three friends. They haven't seen each other for like 15 years, and then the one day they see each other, they talk about this incident where it was Amy, like, the character I played, was Amy raped or not? And so everyone that comes out, after watching the film, I just realized that a lot of them, they all have different views on the situation. Because I mean, human emotions is just very complex, right? You don't really like what we say doesn't really mean what we want, like what we really feel inside. It's very complicated. So the characters themselves, they all have ulterior motives to meet up, and everyone has different intentions, but everyone is saying things that may not align with their intentions, or they may be, it's just very, very complicated. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's such a fun film to play, a fun role to play, and a really interesting film to produce. And yeah, I think, just go in with no expectations and just feel every character, and whether you feel like, who's the protagonist, who's the antagonist, like everyone has a different take. Yeah.
And I understand you not only are you starring as Amy, but you were really sort of involved from the get-go in this adaptation of Richard Linklater's 2001 film, and of course working with
hmm
Stephen, who wrote the original play. So how did the idea come about? Who sparked the idea of kind of doing this Hong Kong reimagining of the story?
Bijan, the director Bijan, he kind of so we met one day over dim sum in Hong Kong, and we were supposed to be talking about some other film, and then he suddenly said that, oh, there's this like film that he's planning to do, and he was telling me about it. It was like Richard Linklater's Tape, and I was like, what? I'm like, let's talk about that instead, right? And then so we started talking about Tape, but there wasn't a lot of budget involved, and but honestly, this is true passion project for everyone. We're all doing it for, like, we all love the film, the script, and everyone who's involved. And yeah, so originally he said, "Oh yeah, do you want to like play Amy?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, of course I want to play Amy, right?" And then he's like, okay, so and then I think about a month later, he asked me, oh, do you want to help produce as well? Because obviously he hasn't been in the Hong Kong film industry. He hasn't worked on any films in Hong Kong before, so it was his first time, and he wasn't really familiar. So he was like, "Oh, you've been in an industry for like 20 years. Maybe you should help out." And I'm like, help out. Okay. So obviously we don't have money. And so it's like free labor, right? I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Because we're just all so into this project. He's not making any money of this project either. It's all passion. And to be honest, like none of the actors are making anything. But we all love the script, and um, I also translated with another writer the entire script into Cantonese. I'm super super involved in this project. Yeah.
And it's kind of very much a sort of East meets West kind of project in a way, because it's kind of this Western story, or at least people who have seen the film as well will have seen that
Mhm,
version of it. And then you're transplanting it to
mhm,
a completely different setting. And obviously, perhaps
mhm,
also updating some of it, because, it's 2025 now versus 2001. Some things have changed. So, what might be
mhm.
those key differences between the original and this one?
The original is based in America back in 2000, right? So for our film, it's based in Hong Kong. So the culture is very different. For example, like in UK and in the States right now, maybe the Me Too movement's been like, it's like something that's really old. It's been a while, been for I don't know how many years. It's been around for a long time. But in Asia, most of the women in here are still very conservative. And I was just telling another interviewer the other day, and I was just saying that, most of the people in Hong Kong, if let's just say if someone was raped, a lot of the men in Hong Kong, or not just Hong Kong, in Asia, they would not be able to accept their spouse have been raped before. They probably won't marry his partner because she's been raped before, or even date her. So it's a very different, like it's a totally different culture, different world. The Asian culture and the Hong Kong culture is still more on the conservative side, I would say. So that's why this film, even though it was back in 2000, playing in Hong Kong is very relevant to the culture at the moment. And of course, we put in a lot of interesting, I guess, lines that kind of relate not just to culture, but we also had, like, I think we also had a line about, like, about the COVID, the test that you have to, like, stick that thing to your nose. And I just added that line to make fun of, like, Wing was like, oh, what do you mean? Like, he was just like trying to, like, push John to say he raped him. He's like, what do you mean there was a word that we use in Chinese. So, oh, is it just like the COVID jab? You just kind of put it in. Like, it was just really funny. Like, when we bring the whole story into, like, the 2025, and with what's been happening in the past few years, we also put it into the film. So it's very relatable, but it's also, it's a good movement right now I mean, it's a good message to spread in Asia, especially because I feel like, we're still kind of behind in terms of quality, or even, like, to be honest, like, I had an ex-boyfriend about 7 years ago, and I asked him, I was like, not even that 7 years ago, actually, like 15 years ago, there are two ex-boyfriends. I asked them the same question. I was like, would you date me if you knew I was raped before? And then they were like, no. They said no. They were, like, so honest. They're like, no. I'm like, why? Like, I couldn't help it. I'm a victim. Like, why would you not want to date me? And they're like, it's not something that we're proud of. So we wouldn't date. Like, he was like, oh yeah, I wouldn't date, someone who's been raped before. So that's kind of like the mentality still in Asia, and a lot of the men. So yeah, I think it's a good film for more people to see, so that more people can speak about it and get more comfortable with it. A lot of people are still very uncomfortable here in Asia.
And oh my God, the shoot must have been so intense. I mean, it's intense to watch. And just between the three of you, with Kenny and with Adam, you must have had to have a lot of trust, I guess, to be able to sort of have this very dialogue-heavy scenes, have these, underlying currents and dynamics that are happening throughout the movie. What was it like working alongside them?
Well, Kenny, I've known him for a while. I've never worked with him before, but I was involved in the casting as well, and I was like, I need a very good looking guy. And I just thought of Kenny. I was like, Kenny is just like every angle, he's just good looking. So I don't know if he's good looking in the Western world, but for Asians, he's really, really good looking. So he's not like that macho man, like raw good looking. He's like the pretty boy good looking, and we needed a pretty good boy good looking for John, and he was perfect. So I called him up. I'm like, hey Kenny. I was like, because I was friends with him already, and I was like, there's this film, like, there's no money. Do you want to play the part? And he was like, yeah, of course. He's a very passionate actor. He's really into his craft as well. So he was really happy to be involved in tape, especially with, Richard Linklater, Steve Belber. They're all, like, attached to the film. So and then we had to find someone who's also good looking, but more on the rough side. And then we thought of Adam. But Adam, it was honestly, like, I think it's really tough for Adam because he grew up in Australia. Yeah, so he grew up. His Cantonese is pretty. It's not so great, right? And he had so many lines, and he was struggling. He was really struggling. So, but he just had that look and that kind of, feel to wing this character. So I worked with him for, I think, like 3 days straight, just going through lines, like the entire script. We just went through all the lines, and then I actually taped every single character onto an app, like it's called the Line Learner, and then I told him to download it, and then I told him to, just rehearse, and then, like, so you can remember. And he worked really, really hard because of his Cantonese. in Hong Kong, he wasn't given a lot of main roles to play because he's the language barrier. But and then so we thought, he had the perfect look. So we'll just say that he went to Thailand for like 10, 15 years. And then maybe that's why his Cantonese is like not so great anymore. But yeah, but it all worked out. He had honestly, Wing was the hardest character to cast because of that look, before it was Ethan Hawke. So you had to have that like kind of charming, but yet also like kind of, it's really just like roughed up kind of look. And not many Asians have that look. And it was really difficult to cast and but they're really good to work with. I mean, they're wonderful. Obviously, they're wonderful people, and they're so passionate about their craft and acting. And we were like spending a lot of time together in the beginning because we were running through lines and then also digesting and dissecting the characters and the emotions. It's just so complicated. Anyone, let's just say, like, I remember I had a meeting with Steve Belber, and then I told him my take on Amy and what I felt like she went through when she was a child. And I wrote a post story about Amy, and he was like, wow, this is the first time I've heard this kind of take on Amy. And he's like, yeah, I've actually, we work with actresses, through with the plays, and then also Uma Thurman, and each one of them, they have a different take on Amy. And that's just what's interesting about this film is every actor who plays the same role will give a different vibe. And that's why it was so much discussion with all the characters because it's like a maze, there's so many different ways to go about this journey, and it depends on how what your life perspectives are, and that will shape the way you see the character. It's quite interesting.
On that note, and you've already touched on quite a few points, what do you hope people come out of cinema thinking about, talking about, what conversations might it prompt? And, there are themes there about memory, about perspective, about accountability. And as we say, just as the film unfolds, you're not sure whose side you're supposed to be on, who's telling the truth. So what do you hope people will be thinking about when they come out of cinema?
To be honest, I feel like I hope people will come out of the cinema thinking that, what's the definition of truth? Because everyone sees the truth differently. And especially in this world that we're living in right now, with everything like religion, politics, like everyone has their own perspective and truth, but it doesn't mean that it's the only truth. There's so many different truths. And I just wish everyone can just be more open-minded and not just so fixated on your only truth and feel like everyone else is wrong. There's no right, there's no wrong. It's all on perspective. And that's the main thing I wish, like, people maybe in the West can kind of, I feel like that's what's needed right now in the society right now, with all, especially with the politics being so crazy at the moment, right? There's so much discussion, and so divided. Like the society is so divided now, and I feel like it's something that we need to discuss more on. But with people who are from Asia or Chinese or Asians watching this film, and I hope that it'll make them feel more comfortable discussing this kind of topic, like sexual assault and whatnot, and with friends or family, and make it more comfortable because it's a very uncomfortable topic in Asia. And I hope to make this more of a, not something that you need to feel ashamed or uncomfortable to talk about. It's okay to talk about it. Yeah.
And finally, do you know what you're going to be working on next? I mean, you've done such a breadth of things, from TV, movies, indie movies. What are you working on next? And do you have any directors you'd love to work with, genres you'd like to try that you haven't done yet?
Well, I've been acting for like 20 years, so there's I've done a lot of roles, and I've done stage and films and TV. And well, firstly, the next project, I just finished filming this TV series. The second season is called The Queen of News. It's kind of like the Asian version of the morning show. I don't know if you've seen the morning show before. Yeah, I love the morning show. Yeah, so it's kind of like the Asian version, but because Chinese media is very different. So it was a big hit for season one. So we just finished filming season two, and it's gonna come out the end of the year, and I'm pretty excited about that one. And yeah, and honestly, I feel like I've done so many different roles already, and I just truly, truly want to work with brilliant, talented directors and actors. I just want to learn from them because I feel like acting is something that you know, you can learn from life. There's no end to what you can learn, and every time we learn something or we play a role, I feel like personally Selena grow as a person as well. Like I just keep growing, and I feel like I've become more compassionate and understanding. I feel like I grow as a person spiritually as well. So yeah, I just want to work with some brilliant directors and actors and just learn from them. That's basically what I want. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with me. Huge congrats on this movie.
Yeah.
Can't wait for everyone else to see it. Thanks so much.